Time for the market report, a bit of a focus on livestock this week.
That's right, Mike, and this month's WASDE report also dropped, and we'll get into it. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, this month's WASDE report. What did it have to say? And finally, program updates from the Big Beautiful Bill. How do they affect Mississippi livestock producers? So, markets closed on the downswing, livestock and row crops affected. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lumber up $57. That's up more than 9% from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, corn, down 24.25 cents, nearly a 6% decrease from the previous week. So, this month's WASDE report dropped in, doesn't seem to move the markets much, or at least it didn't. However, here's Bella Bingham with all the details.
U.S. wheat supplies adjusted up due to higher projected yields by 1 bushel per acre. Both winter and spring wheat production lowered while exports raised. Season average farm price unchanged at $5.40 per bushel. Global wheat supplies projected down slightly due to lower beginning stocks in Canada, Ukraine, and Iran. Consumption raised slightly as well, mostly due to feed and residual use. Trade expected to be lower by a little over 1 million tons. U.S. corn beginning stocks cut 25 million bushels due to increased exports. Feed and residual use down 75 million bushels. Production down as well due to less acreage along with total use and ending stocks. Season average farm price $4.20 per bushel. Global corn production up, most due to Brazil and the Philippines. Export raised for the U.S. and Canada, lowered for Turkey. Ending stocks adjusted down over 3 million tons. U.S. rice supplies down about 8 million hundredweight due to less production. Heavy rain and flooding in the Delta region, particularly northern Arkansas, disrupted planting. As a result, both exports and use projected down. Season average farm price $14 per hundredweight. Global rice supplies unchanged, while consumption and residual use raised by about 500,000 tons. Trade also up slightly. U.S. soybean production reduced due to lesser acreage, but unchanged projected yields. Crush raised 50 million bushels due to higher biofuel demand. Exports down due to higher domestic demand. Season average farm price $10.10 per bushel. Global soybean beginning stocks raised along with production, mostly due to Ukraine. Crush also raised along with soy meal trade, while bean exports down. Ending stocks raised by nearly 1 million tons. U.S. pork production raised along with broilers due to higher weights. Beef production down due to slow slaughter and lower weights. Turkey production down as well, along with egg production, both based on recent hatchery data. Milk production projected up due to more cows and milk per cow. Exports also up mostly on cheese and dried skim milk products. Cheese prices lowered while butter, non-fat dry milk, and whey prices increased. All milk price forecast $22 per hundredweight. U.S. cotton acreage up by over 10 million and harvested area also up by 6%. As a result, production forecast 600,000 bales higher. Season average farm price 62 cents per pound. Global cotton production raised nearly 1.5 million bales, along with consumption by 365,000 bales. Exports lowered along with beginning stocks, however, ending stocks projected up 520,000 bales.
With the recent signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or OBBA, came some changes to government programs, a few directly affecting livestock producers. Dr. Josh Maples gives us an overview of how they could benefit Mississippians.
So the changes to the Livestock Forward Disaster Program, I think, are probably some of the most noticeable ones that especially the cattle producers in Mississippi are going to see. A lot of Mississippi producers enroll in already, and the changes that were made in the Big Beautiful Bill Act are going to lead to it, triggering sooner, and whenever it does trigger, in some cases, the payments are going to be higher. So the big change in the estate tax exemption is one, it makes it permanent. Without this exemption, it could trigger some really high taxes, and farmers, cattle producers, whoever, whatever we're talking about, could have to sell land or livestock or equipment just to pay the tax bill whenever the farm is moving from one generation to the next. So these are pretty high exemption levels, so anything under these levels will, can pass down without any federal estate taxes. So the poultry insurance program, pilot program, is completely new, and it's even newer than new because there is no actual program yet. And the idea is to provide some sort of insurance product to help protect poultry growers, so the contract growers we have in Mississippi, from spikes in things like energy cost. So weather-related utility charges, those can be, unexpected increases throughout the year depending on what's going on with weather. So this program would ideally provide some sort of protection against those spikes. And so this is going to be interesting to see how this gets developed and gets implemented.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets.